Miami! To mission control, we have liftoff. Phinhub! Phinhub! We talking Dolphin City! Phinhub, Phinhub! Yeah! It's that Dolphin Show! Phinhub!
Welcome to the Phinhub Show, the one NFL podcast you can't leave off your roster. Now here's your host, Joey and Kevin Tejido.
All right, welcome to another episode of the Phinhub Show, powered by BetUS. If you haven't already, make sure to check out BetUS and use code YouTube150 for 150% bonus on your first deposit. The next two deposits will be for 125% bonuses. So make sure to check out BetUS and use code YouTube150 to get started on BetUS today.
Now, we all know the big game is coming up in the Super Bowl, so it's been Super Bowl week. A lot of interesting things have come out, a lot of interviews with certain Miami Dolphin players, which we're going to get into. We'll show those clips, we'll analyze them, and basically say what this means for the Dolphins moving forward. Let's start off with Tyreek Hill. We know he had his outburst last game of the season against the Jets. Basically, end of the season, we can't make the playoffs. He's heated. He wants off the team. It was pretty clear. I mean, he didn't sugarcoat it. He said, "Yeah, I'm out. Yeah, I'm out." They even asked him again, what does that mean? I'm out, man. Like, I'm opening up that door. Okay. So here's what he had to say on Evan Adams.
Yeah. I think it's important that you're saying this. I think Armstead's going to be really important. Sounds like you're wanting to mend things.
Yeah.
Is there anything standing in your way? I've never been on an NFL team, so what has to happen now?
I mean, for what?
Just for things to, I'm imagining, I'll ask you, do you want to be a Miami Dolphin?
I do. I don't want to go nowhere. I love it. My family loves it. Kids absolutely love being on the beach every morning. So it's an amazing thing, man. We are really building something special in Miami. We made it to the playoffs the first 2 years. Obviously, this year was hard, but if guys continue to buy in, into what coach is building and the culture that he's trying to build, it's gonna be a beautiful thing, man.
So that's the first part. There's two clips here. But what do you think about what he had to say? I mean, it seems like he wants to be in Miami. It seems like he's essentially apologizing to all the fans, all his teammates. What do you think about that?
Honestly, I think it's something that he needed to do. If he was going to remain in Miami, he had to come out publicly and apologize to Tua and the rest of the team. Just explain himself a little bit more. I really appreciate that he actually went through with it and did it, because it shows just how committed he was. And I think everyone has a right to be emotional, with this game that's so physical. There's a lot of emotions put into this. There's a lot of hard work put into this. So when your expectations aren't met, especially with the hard work that you're putting into this, I think it's understandable to be so emotional and caught up after a game. Seeing the team that you left now going into the Super Bowl again, That's not easy. That's difficult to witness, and the success that they've had and the lack of success now that we're having, that we had last season. So I understand Tyreek now completely, and I really appreciate that he was able to apologize to the team and to Tua. And like I said, that was the only way he'd be accepted in this locker room going forward.
Well, I can say us as Dolphins fans, right? We can relate. At the end of the season, we say we're done. We say, "Oh, this team sucks. We can't stand them. We don't want to root for them anymore. I mean, what's the point? It's we're not going anywhere, right?" So I can see Tyreek's frustration. I can see, I busted my behind off. He says that, and we weren't getting the results we wanted. But it's a time to regroup now. We're gonna get this together. We're gonna basically try to have a clean bill of health and get through a season and start the winning culture that we believe we can create in Miami. So I thought that was really interesting. But he did have another clip with Kay Adams, basically apologizing to Tua and saying how much of a, friend and a great partner he is. So let's take a look at that.
Will you talk to Tua about it? How does he figure into all of this that's gone on?
Tua, he's my guy. Always will be my guy, no matter what, man. And I'm sure, he understands my frustration.
So yeah, you can see Tyreek has a great relationship with Tua. I don't think he wants to go anywhere. That's already been addressed multiple times throughout this week, and I mean, for one, I'm a little relieved. I'm happy. I do want to see Tyreek on this team at least one more year. Let's see how it goes. At the end of the day, if it doesn't go well, you trade him, you get rid of him, you start transitioning off of him, maybe get another young receiver, whatever the case may be. But I do think he has been so electric in Miami, and it's really changed the culture in Miami. It's changed the course of our franchise. If we can manage to stay healthy and Tua and him are on the field at the same time, I mean, we can still make things happen.
Yeah, Tyreek instantly injected this winning mentality into the Miami Dolphins that we've lacked for millions of years now.
I mean, since we've
he injected these electrifying plays, these game-breaking plays. So it's been great since Tyreek has been here. Last year was a bit of a down year for everybody on the team. But I think really what I'm taking away from this, most importantly, is the comments on Tua. Because this is really the biggest, I wouldn't say issue, but it's the biggest headline for the Miami Dolphins. Mm-hmm. And it's basically split the same way you have people who love Donald Trump and hate Donald Trump, the same way you have Democrats and Republicans. This is a very split fan base on Tua, and
actually very similar. Yeah,
people feel very strongly about Tua, or in a positive way or in a negative way.
Yeah, so there's kind of no in between.
Right.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
So and I think there's very few people that are objective with it, and I not to toot my own horn, but I feel like I am in this case. I feel like you are too, objective with the situation with Tua. The fact of the matter is that since Dan Marino, he has really been the best quarterback we've had, and it just is what it is at that point. However, also the question is it enough? Probably not. But the players on the team, Tyreek Hill, Chop Robinson, which I'm sure we'll talk about now, and his comments on Tua, Teron Armstead, these guys seem to love Tua. People in the locker room seem to love Tua, believe in Tua. And we've seen how successful Tua can be in a season when he can stay healthy. And his issues have been, now the biggest issues remain. It's the concussions, it's the hip injuries. Can Tua stay away from these boneheaded plays where he's diving head first or taking an unnecessary hit to the hip? These are things that Tua needs to stay away from. So maybe he can have another healthy season. Even still, I think that durability could continue to be a concern for Tua. I think the Miami Dolphins are doing a disservice if they don't go at least take a look at or take a swing at a young quarterback that they see has the potential to be something in this league. I think both can be true.
Yeah.
So, I just find it interesting how much everybody loves Tua, and then you have fans who absolutely despise him. So
what I would want to see this year is, so obviously we had Tua game one. We did have some plays that he was able to throw the ball deep in week one. But, week two unfortunately had that injury. I think from there the Dolphins and Tua were playing scared in their play calling. They wanted to get the ball off quick. They didn't want Tua to go down again. Whether it's optics, whether it's for his actual health because they care that much, it was a disservice to the team. I think it was a disservice to the fans. I think we deserve to get the product that we were used to for the first couple of years in the Tyreek Hill era, where we're bombing the ball downfield. We're getting these nice electric plays, looking like the best offense in the NFL, right? And then we looked nothing like that. We're like middle of the pack with Tua now. Last year's play calling. So I would like to see Tua get back to that this year. And I think that starts with the offensive line. So, kind of goes into this clip of Teron Armstead. It looks like he might be staying with Miami. As you can see from his comments, it seems like Teron Armstead is actually really considering another year. He says he feels healthy. I don't see why he wouldn't be able to go out there and still, give you those games. At the end of the day, I think the best part about this whole situation is if you bring back Teron Armstead, you have a guy in Patrick Paul that has gotten some valuable reps in his rookie season. He can just build off of that. We could still bring him along. We're not throwing him into the fire. He's behind a guy like Teron Armstead that can be a mentor, can show him the ropes, can, hey man, slight adjustments to maybe improve his game, because Teron Armstead sees the game in a different light. This is a guy that is essentially a superstar in the league at his position. And you can even consider him a top 5 left tackle. So it'll be cool for him to get another year under his belt under Teron Armstead. And I think it's interesting that he might stay for another year with the Dolphins.
Yeah, I think so too. And we had talked about this in a few episodes ago. I had some people that agreed in the comments. Some people said I was crazy in the comments. But I think with Teron Armstead staying, you can keep him at left tackle, obviously. Patrick Paul might be able to take some snaps at right tackle and maybe take over that position, moving Austin Jackson over to right guard.
That's not crazy at all.
And I think that's a huge save there, because Austin Jackson has played some guard in the past, and he was a more than decent right tackle. Yeah. In fact, his game, we didn't realize it at the time, but he was one of the reasons why our run game was so effective. When he went down, we saw just how bad he was missed. Yeah. So I like the idea of, or I would like to play with the idea of going from left to right. You got Teron Armstead, Isaiah Wynn starting out the season healthy. You got Aaron Brewer at center. At right guard, you have Austin Jackson. And then at right tackle, you can have Patrick Paul. So that would be an interesting lineup. I'd like to see that for the offensive line, because they're all more than capable linemen. Yeah. So this would be that would be fun to watch. I'd like to see what they could do.
So yeah, I see why you're saying that, because I mean, obviously we don't know who we're going to sign in the offseason, who we're going to draft. So closest thing to, because I do believe we can bring back Isaiah Wynn, cheap deal. At the end of the day, he didn't really prove anything this past year. I don't think anyone's going to be knocking on his door trying to pay him a big payday. So we can probably bring him in a value contract there, maybe another $2 million like we did this past year. And I think that line is actually, it's fantastic, because you got left tackle, very athletic. Isaiah Wynn's a pretty athletic guard. You got a super athletic center, an athletic right guard in Austin Jackson. And then you got, you have the tower of a man in Patrick Paul on the right side, but he can't actually move for his size. So, I mean, I would like to say he's also athletic. So you kind of have a whole line of guys that can run out there and actually get these key blocks downfield to get our running backs, those home run plays. So I think it'll be fantastic. Last video we have to go over here is on Chop Robinson. Basically some comments on Tua. Let's hear it really fast.
Yeah, I mean, to me, just the guy who he is off the field. He's a great guy. When I first came in, my locker's across from him. He came, sat down, and talked with me, asked how I was and my family and everything. And that just showed me like who he really is. He's more than a football player. So when he went down, I was more emotional for him as a person and as a father than I was as a football player. Yeah, I know you could come back eventually if you want, but as a dad and everything and as a person, it was just different for me.
When you heard that he had made the decision, like, yeah, I'm not giving up, I'm coming back here, as a teammate, how did that make you feel?
I mean, that just shows the type of guy he is. He's down to fight for his team, for his teammates. He just loves everybody that he's around, and he just wants to be great and wants to win, and he'll do anything for it. And that's the guy you need to have on your team.
So yeah, basically, Tua's leading by example. Everyone in the locker room loves him. He's a hard worker. People consider him a winner as well. So I think a key part to this season, I know a key part to this next season is, depending on Tua's health, we need to figure that out. We need to build that line. And it's nice to hear the young stud and a rookie, basically taking after Tua and working hard as well, so it's cool.
Yeah, no doubt that the season is really going to hinge on Tua's health. And we're definitely going to have to find a more than capable backup. And I even think the quarterback 1 through 3 is going to have to be, you get QB1, Tua. QB2, it's, I would say, a proven veteran, maybe that's moved around, that can win a few games for us if Tua goes down.
I hope it's Winston.
And then, yeah, Winston would be nice. And then QB3, for me, would have to be a young guy that you pick up in the draft, or maybe a guy that you trade for that was picked high in the draft, and maybe you can swap maybe a third-round pick. Someone maybe like...
I think I know who you're talking about.
Like McCarthy or...
Joe Milton.
You know, somebody like that.
McCarthy wouldn't go for a third rounder though.
Well, whatever we can. You know what I mean? Maybe.
Why do you think that McCarthy might be on the move? You think that they might take Sam Darnold over him right now?
I think that everything is open right now. You know, we don't know. For example, the Vikings go into that. Maybe they don't know what's going on with JJ McCarthy. Maybe they haven't unlocked him yet. Obviously, Sam Darnold had a great season with the Vikings. Fell apart at the end, but either way, it's kind of going to be hard for them, I feel, to move off of Sam Darnold just because of the success that they did have.
Yeah, and I don't think McCarthy will replicate that success, at least right now. I mean, it'll probably take him a few years. So maybe you bring back Sam Darnold, and I know this is not, Dolphins related, but I mean, it still is an interesting subject.
Well, yeah, because if you look at it from the Vikings perspective, what you want to do is you want to win a Super Bowl. That's the point of the game, right? You were close, right?
You're taking advantage of the Justin Jefferson years, So.
Yeah, right now you have a team in total that's capable. Sam Darnold has proven that he was capable of winning a lot of games with the Vikings.
Yeah.
If you swap in JJ McCarthy, you don't know what you're going to have, even though the roster's pretty good. But swapping JJ McCarthy maybe for some kind of pick in this upcoming draft, maybe that can add even more firepower.
Yeah.
Either on offense or defense, can maybe propel them to the next level. So that's my thinking from the Vikings perspective. I don't know what they're going to do. But, going back to Chop Robinson and his comments on Tua, Tua's going to be that guy for this team. Everybody loves Tua in this locker room, and I'm so excited. Chop Robinson's a guy that we're so excited for. He really came alive towards that middle part of the season and didn't look back. He was honestly electric. So I'm really excited to see what he does in his sophomore season, and looks like we, at least in him, made the right choice. So
yeah, and just a quick little snippet here. I think the team is going to be a lot better next year. Obviously, you can't control injuries, you can't predict injuries, but I would like to think that we're going to be a lot more healthy next year. I mean, at the end of the day, coming into week 1, we're going to be healthier than we were ending, week 17, week 18, whatever it is, against the Jets. We were missing Jalen Phillips, Bradley Chubb, Tua Tagovailoa, Tyreek Hill is injured, Jalen Waddle's hobbled. Everyone's pretty much injured. I understand everyone's frustration with saying that, the Dolphins love injured players. Unfortunately, we can say injury prone. We could say, just a string of bad luck. But, at the end of the day, we're going to go into week 1 with a way better, more complete roster. And I'm excited to see it. And I'm really excited to see what they're going to do in the draft coming up in April. So,
yeah, me too, definitely. There's a lot that can be done in this draft. So it's whether they're preparing for the future or this moment. And, that remains to be seen. But either way, we'll see what happens there. If you guys haven't already, make sure to check out BetUS and use code YouTube150 for 150% bonus on your first deposit. The next 2 deposits will be for 125% bonuses. So make sure to use code YouTube150 and get started on BetUS today. But that's going to do it for today, guys. If you haven't already, make sure to give the video a like, subscribe, and we'll catch you in the next one. Fins up.